Hello, this is Botman. As you can see, I have a new camcorder and a tripod, but more importantly, today I'm here to give you another detailed look at Game Players magazine. This is Volume 8, Issue 5. It was published in May 1995. The cover story is for Secret of Evermore. It was the only game to be directly developed by Squaresoft's United States branch. We also have preview of Mortal Kombat 3, console ports of Primal Rage, and we got some RPG strategies for Crusader of Sentient Beyond Oasis, so let's open it up and take a look. Here we have an ad for World Series Baseball 95 for the Sega systems, including the 32X. An ad for the Jaguar, one of the infamous Do the Math ads. Got a contest for Donkey Kong Country. Well, actually, that's like you could earn banana points and spend them on stuff by buying various Nintendo products. And here's the table of contents. Now, Game Players magazine was a rather unique magazine. For one thing, the reviewers themselves, they build themselves as real people. They weren't characters like GamePro had, or EGM did with Sushi X. They build themselves as real people. In fact, here's a parody right here of Sushi X, Gamer X, that nobody knows who he is, so he just poses as like a chicken or a shadow or what have you. The editor-in-chief of Game Players was Chris Slate, who I believe is now the editor-in-chief of Nintendo Power, so it's nice to see he's gone up in the world. This was a very, I'm not sure I would say controversial, but it was definitely a magazine with its own flavor. It was the first one that I remember that actually had mild cuss words in it, and it had a very unique sense of humor that no other magazine really had at the time. But anyway, table of contents, so you got Primal Rage, cover story, and Mortal Kombat, so let's move on. The letter section, this is where the real flavor of their humor came around. Let's see, we got here's a letter complaining about Sega recently switching from plastic to paper packaging for their games. I think a lot of people had problems with that. Let's see. This guy bashing on them giving a good review to Toshin Den. Okay, game ideas. This is where people would send in ideas for games, and there were some pretty out there ideas. Let's see. Yeah, and the winner would get a Game Players t-shirt. Let's see. My game idea is Family Ties. It's like Doom, but instead of imps, there's your Uncle Billy Bob or Aunt Edith. On one level, these relatives tell embarrassing stories about your potty training to your girlfriend. The bosses would be your great Aunt Irma or your annoying little cousins who always get into trouble or steal all your stuff. Among your other weapons would be invisibility pills that make you invisible to anyone wearing prescription glasses. So yeah, the readers and the writers, the people who wrote into this magazine, they certainly had a unique sense of humor. Let's see. Visiting my local arcade, I made a discovery regarding Killer Instinct. It would seem that the sword-wielding skeleton Spinal has some previous fighting experience. The Mortal Kombat tournament, what? Let's see. Midway is involved with both Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct. If you look closely at the bottom of the pit in the original Mortal Kombat, Spinal is lying. What is this guy going on about? They're skeletons. Alright, what do we got? I do not agree with your reviews. You have been killing Game Boy. You said that Mortal Kombat 2 bites. Own a Game Boy. Basically, they're giving poor reviews to portable systems, and consider considering that this was kind of the low point of the Game Boy and Game Gear. You know, this was before Pokemon really revived the Game Boy in America, so they were basically seen as inferior ports, especially in the 16-bit generation. Let's see, I have recently obtained a subscription to your game magazine. I love the way y'all insult and make fun of everything. Yep. Okay, this right here, this one guy, he didn't send in his name, sent in this mail that said, "You guys suck, Donkey Kong Country is the best video game ever made, Sonic and Knuckles deserves about 25%, Nintendo rules, Sega sucks, give Donkey Kong Country a 100%, give Earthworm Jim 93%, and give Sonic and Knuckles 25%. Ultra 64 and Virtual Boy rule, Scott Hardy is a bitch. Every Sega game ever made sucks. You guys and anyone who likes Sega should be executed." And there was just this whole half a page of angry responses to this one guy sending in that, letter. It was pretty much just an early version of trolling before the internet truly came around. Oh, and here's something. Whenever somebody sent something in via email, they would actually publish their email address, so that's something that wouldn't really fly in today. Here we have, connections. These are people writing in wanting pen pals or something, like, "Hi, I'm 11-year-old video game comic book freak. I would like to exchange tips and codes," and they would give their address. It's definitely a unique, well, not really unique, but it was something that really could only be done during that time. You don't really have pen pals nowadays. Okay, next we have the fan art section, set in a lot of letter art and what have you, and the art of the month is Scorpion killing Barney the dinosaur. Now, if that is not a representation of what the mid-90s were about, I don't know what is. If that image is not a representation of the mid-90s, then I don't know. And they had these captions for them. They would write these captions that, I thought they were funny as hell back then, but now, they're just juvenile. Let's see, because this one right here was Shang Tsung. "Even clapping his hands didn't help. His farts still looked like two old men." I thought that was the peak of humor back in the day when this came out. Yeah, he raised his hand and realized he'd forgotten his deodorant. Yeah, we got staples of the mid-90s. See, we got the Doom Guy, Alien vs. Predator, got Mega Man X, Mortal Kombat, X-Men, for some reason. Got Colossus and Magneto, Akuma, Beavis and Butthead. You have Mario running away from the Sega Saturn while Sonic and Tails are laughing at him. You can definitely tell what era this was in. Info track, this is the news section. And we have previews of the Ultra 64 or Nintendo 64, basically graphics previews. And Game Tech were working on a Robotech game for the Ultra 64 or Nintendo 64. It was going to be called Robotech Crystal Dreams, but unfortunately it was stuck in development hell for the longest time. And Game Tech ultimately went out of business, so that never saw the light of day. We never got any Robotech games up until the PS2 era. I tried Robotech Battlecry, and I didn't really like it. The second mission, you got an escort, you got to protect a building, and you immediately fail. I really don't like flight sims where you gotta protect stuff. I'd rather just blow stuff up. Let's see. Yeah, it's a shame because there's a bunch of Macross games in Japan that we never got. Let's see, Mortal Kombat 3 teasing. Keeping mum about Mortal Kombat 3 at press time. The company's begun to talk early peaks of the game. I see. This is when they didn't even know who the new characters were named. The yet unnamed Native American characters. So that's obviously Nightwolf now. And we got Shao Kahn, Liu Kang going head to head against one of the new ninja robots, which we now know is Cyrax. So just sneak preview screenshots that have been released. First US peek at Saturn gadgets. This is the US version of the Saturn controller, the multi-tap, and backup. I think the memory card or something. No, the RAM card. I know there was a RAM upgrade. I'm not sure what the did they use those cards for as memory cards as well? I don't remember. I never really owned a Saturn, so let's see. More video games to go tune. Let's see. Mega Man returned. Yeah, they're announcing that Mega Man, the Mega Man animated series from Ruby Spears, got a second season. I'm surprised it got a second season. I didn't know that. Yeah, let's see. 95 mark, 80% of the country. Let's see. Capcom has teamed with Graz Entertainment to produce a weekly animated series based on the Darkstalkers arcade game. Oh my god, is that one released by Deke? Oh my god, you gotta watch the Switcher's video of, oh wait. No, he's a cat got banned. That video's been removed. So Switcher, if you're watching this, I highly doubt it, but if you are, then please re-upload Darkstalker Stupidity. Because, you know, that series is something else and should be available to the internet. Let's see. Earthworm Jim will be hitting the airwaves. Yeah, that's yeah, Earthworm Jim, the animated series that aired alongside Freakazoid, and unfortunately that hasn't been available on home video, even though Freakazoid has. Let's see. Claim and Marvel. Did Claim has struck a dagger? Let's see. Sequel to Maximum Carnage. New Nintendo helplines, so they switched their phone number. Fighting game specific controllers. Okay, Payback. Let's see. This is like an interactive movie sort of thing. Mr. Payback. Yeah, so this is basically a movie, and they would use these joysticks to vote on what would happen next. So, that was obviously a fad that never took off. Here we have an ad for Beyond Oasis. Game Gossip. What do we got here? PlayStation. Let's see, you got the game names in bold here. Let's see, Virtua Fighter 2 for the Saturn, Ultra 64. Pilot Wings 2, so yeah, there were rumors about a new Pilot Wings game, which was one of the launch titles. Let's see. The long-rumored Street Fighter movie game is nearing completion and is said to have even better digitized graphics than Mortal Kombat 2. Well, that may be, but it's debatable whether that was a good whether that made it a good game. Let's see. What do we got now? Mortal Kombat 3 ad. That's yeah, they were having teasers when the game wasn't even out yet. That's I find that interesting. Okay, the hit list. We got basically the top 10 for readers and the staff themselves. The readers, let's see, Stunt Race FX for the SNES at number 10, Sonic & Knuckles number 9, Jurassic Park for the Super NES for number 8. That's interesting. I would have thought the Genesis version was better. What do I know? I haven't played any of them. Doom for the 32X for number 7. Let's see, The Lion King for SNES at number 6. Mortal Kombat 2 for the Genesis for number 5. Donkey Kong Country number 4. Earthworm Jim number 3. Shining Force 2 number 2. And Final Fantasy 3 is at number 1. Let's see. Let's see, top 10 from the USA. I don't know if those are based on sale figures or, yeah, I don't know what those are based on, but let's see, Grand World of Oil Jobs for the PlayStation in Japan. I don't know what that's about. Yeah, we got Super Fire Pro Wrestling, let's see, Ridge Racer, Toshinden, so PlayStation was a big seller in Japan at this time. Let's see, previews, Secret of Evermore. This is the cover story. Secret of Evermore was the only game to be developed by Squaresoft's American branch. It has kind of a controversial nature in the U.S. It has like these misattributed rumors that because we got this game that we never got Seiken Densetsu 3 or Secret of Mana 2, and that wasn't true. It's undeserving of some of the bashing it's gotten, I believe. And so we have various previews of it. Interviews with the Squaresoft staff. You see various maps of the game. I like the way they set up these large screenshots here, however they do that. Primal Rage, the console ports. Let's see, Virtua Racing for the Sega Saturn. Got WWF Raw for the 32X. Road Rash for the Sega CD. I don't know if that's the same one that was for the 3DO. Let's see, Soundgarden soundtrack, digitized cutscenes from the 3DO. So it looks like it was based on the 3DO version that was also released for the Saturn, if I'm not mistaken. Comic Zone for the Genesis, that's a classic. Alone in the Dark 2 for the 32. A lot of 32X stuff. They were really pushing this system, and unfortunately they didn't really, it didn't turn out that good for them. Let's see, Wiz for the Super NES from Titus. I believe I saw that in Nintendo Power a couple times. Prehistoric Man. Let's see, Blackthorn for the 32X. From what I understand, that one is better than the Super NES version. Like, they have extra blood and cut content that Nintendo didn't want on their system. Okay, this is a Nintendo commercial for the, or Nintendo ad for the Super Game Boy. Let's see, we got White Men Can't Jump for the Jaguar. Broken Pixels did an episode on that one. You should check it out if you have the chance. Siberia for the 3DO. Battlemorph for the Jaguar CD. Just a bunch of Jaguar stuff. And more things about the Super Game Boy. Okay, now the reviews. Now, for how much of an oddball magazine this was, they had a rather complex and, in-depth review process. What they would do is they would rate the game 1 out of 10 in 5 different categories: graphics, music and sound effects, innovation, gameplay, and replay value. And from those 1 out of 10 scores, they would rate the game based on a 100 to 0%, or 0 to 100%. They would give it a percentage score overall. And they would give an ultimate seal to those that rank 90% or above. I'll show you how that goes into the reviews later. We got, what is this? Immersionary for the 3DO. Seems like it's another, like, FMV game, maybe an FPS or something. It was made, let's see. Here's an ad for Earthworm Jim Special Edition for the Sega CD with a couple extra levels. Got a Tough Man Contest for the Genesis. Okay, Kirby's Avalanche for the SNES. This was a port of Puyo Puyo. Let's see, we got graphics got a 7, music and sound effects got an 8, and they would have like these high and low points for each category. So we got innovation 7, gameplay 10, replay value 10. So it would just show you, how the game would score in those categories, and it got a 93%. So we got Brutal Unleashed Above the Claw. This was a fighting game made by GameTech, or published by GameTech. This is the 32X port. It was also released for the SNES, and might have been released for the Genesis, I don't know, but it was alright. Here we have an ad for, it's one of those play it loud ads that are just completely disgusting. It's for Mario's Picross for the Game Boy. It was the first in the Picross games that have recently resurfaced on the DS. And they actually print the rules to it here because you're like, what the hell is Picross? I don't know how to play that. So they put the rules on the ad so you know what you're playing before you go out and buy it. So they obviously knew it was a complicated game that Americans wouldn't really understand unless they heard the rules. Here we got Spider-Man for the SNES. This was by LJN. Oh boy. Oh, it was published by LJN at least. Was it just called Spider-Man? I guess there were a bunch of Spider-Man games on there. Lords of Thunder for the Sega CD. Heard good things about this one. I believe it was originally released on the TurboGrafx. Don't quote me on that, however, as I'm not really sure. Got an ad for the SNES version of Bust-A-Move. KO Flying Squadron for the Sega CD. That was published in America by Working Designs, certainly a cult hit company. Let's see, yeah, FMV game for the Sega CD, Global Conflict or something. Tempo for the 32X. I've heard good things about this game. I mean, yeah, it's got a unique character. It's one of the few good games for the 32X here. It's a platformer, but it's got some decent character design, and graphics are good for the 32X. It really showed off the 32X's power for what it was. Okay, Pac-In-Time for the Super NES. This was a follow-up to Pac-Man 2, I believe. It had more like a faux 3D effect to it, but it was basically a platformer, unlike Pac-Man 2. See, it even has the same witch that existed in Pac-Man 2. It's True Lies for Acclaim. I believe that was the last game ever published in America by LJN. Stargate for the Genesis. Game distributor. Usually those are in the back, I don't know why. Dungeon Explorer for the Sega CD. Got Rystar, one of the last good games in the Genesis' life, late in Genesis' life. Izzy's Quest for the Olympic Rings, tying into the 96 Atlanta Olympics. Didn't do too well. Fight for Life for the Jaguar. I believe this was a horrible 3D fighting game that was attempting to cash in on Virtua Fighter. It was one of the last gasps of life for the Jaguar system. Shining Force CD for the Sega CD. I've tried the Shining Force game. I've tried the first one for a couple times, but I could never really get into it that much. I should probably try it again. Okay, handheld, we got Wild Snake for the Game Boy, Rystar for the Game Gear, Desert Strike for the Game Boy. Wild Snake was like it is kind of a Tetris clone where you have to maneuver these snakes that are falling down. Alright, we got sports here, got tennis, basketball. Here's like some kind of baseball motion controller for the Genesis and Super NES. I don't know how well that worked. Let's see, Coin Op Crazy, so arcade, we got Sega Rally, the original Tekken, Worldview, this is import stuff. Let's see, Blue Seed, kind of Doom clone. Rampo is a highly Japanese graphic adventure. Rampo, that was, I believe Keith Apicary mentioned Rampo a couple times. It's interesting to see that in a preview mag now. This untitled racing game looks to have some trippy... That's Cosmic Race. That is, this magazine would later name Cosmic Race as the worst game ever made and would actually give it a 0% review score. The only game in this magazine that have ever gotten a 0%. We have Cyber Sled. I tried that out in the arcade a couple times. The PlayStation port probably wouldn't have been able to recreate the twin joysticks you have. So that's kind of disappointing to see that it might have been watered down. Let's see, Saturn, we got a pool game. We got X-Men Children of the Atom port. Let's see. Tricks and tips. We got strategy guides for a bunch of stuff here. We have Crusader of Senti. This was kind of like a Zelda clone that was published in America by Atlas. It's a pretty decent game. I've played it. It's basically the story of this game from what... Well, I haven't really played through all of it yet, but the story of the game from what I've played so far is that you come across this You receive your father's sword, you're going off to be a big hero or something, and then you run across this fortune teller who places like this curse or something on you, where you can only talk to animals and plants from now on, and you can't talk to humans anymore. And, you have a mother and you got townspeople that you know and everything, so, for now, the story is just, try to get back to normal, and you, team up with all these animals who will give you different abilities, like a penguin turns your sword to ice, you got a tiger that'll speed up your running speed. It's a decent game and definitely worth checking out. Here we got Popful Mail, a Working Designs game for the Sega CD. Working Designs, they were really kind of, the number one guys to go to for these quirky anime games in this era. I got a subscription notice here, or subscription ad. I got Beyond Oasis. I've never played this one, but from what I understand, it's mostly in the same thing as Crusader of Senti, just kind of a Zelda clone. Metal Warriors. This is that mech game for the SNES. I've heard good things about this. I suppose I really should try it, but I hear there's a prequel for the... It's part of a series, and the first games were released under a different name on the Genesis, so I don't know. Alright, what's this? Return Fire. I vaguely recall the title of that game, but nothing really much. Brain Dead 13, that was a pretty good FMV game. It shows here PC, Sega CD, 3DO. It's actually on the iPhone now, so it's worth checking out for like $1 or however much it is. It's dirt cheap, I suppose. And the animation's pretty good. Okay, Code Breakers is where you get like cheat codes. Like this shows you how to get the Dragon Punch or the Shoryuken in Mega Man X2. I got a Code Monkey of the Month. This is the editor's pick for the best code sent in by a user. Yeah, I got codes for Donkey Kong Country. Basically a crap ton of codes for Donkey Kong Country. Start with 50 lives, sound test, and whatnot. Let's see, Battle Frenzy, I've never really heard of that one. Tough Man, that's a Punch-Out clone. Power Rangers for Sega CD, which was essentially quick-time events. Aero the Acrobat 2. Michael Jordan, Chaos in the Windy City. That was the thing. Michael Jordan and all these big names, they weren't part of the... they had their own deals. They had, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and various other, huge names at this time. They had deals for their own games, so they weren't in NBA Jam or other NBA games, and, it's sad to see that. Star Wars Arcade with the 32X, let's see, Radical Rex, Rystar, and we got Code Donkey of the Month. And this is basically crappy codes that somebody sent in. Basically, this is like a big complicated code for 8 Simbas. So you go to options and put the difficulty on easy, then go to sound test, put it on be prepared, play it for 3 seconds, then exit. And then you press all these buttons here, and the code gives you 8 lives. And that's a deep, complicated code, but the thing is, anytime you put the game on easy, you already have 8 lives. So, apparently this guy was just, bullcrapping. So they put it as a Code Donkey of the Month. Okay, Game Slayers. This is basically where people write in and ask for solutions to various puzzles in the game. Here we got, let's see, Lucky's Helpers. This is where people would mail in their hints rather than people who would ask for hints. So we got Contra Hardcore. Got the bonus ending here for like Contra. Yeah, Contra Hardcore, they had a whole bunch of endings, and this one was kind of hidden. So we got Breath of Fire, the Easter egg with Chun-Li. Beavis and Butthead, basically all the post-game content, to get backstage and whatnot. Final Fantasy III, how to get the Esper Raiden. Basically the solution to the Cave of the Magi that you find in the World of Ruin. You got an ad for the Sega CD version of Samurai Showdown, WWF Raw. Let's see, Shining Force 2. I guess this is how you beat a certain boss. WWF Raw, this is for wrestlers' mega moves. Okay, now playing. This is appears to be an archive of all the reviews they've done recently. So they just put them in here, and at the top you see they have all the Ultimate Seals they've made. NBA Jam Tournament Edition, Eternal Champions, Return Fire, Super Punch-Out, and you got a bunch of game distributors here. Okay, Next Generation. I believe I've heard of this magazine. I never actually bought an issue of this myself, but yeah, this was made by probably Imagine Publishing. I guess they did this one. Let's see, on the back we got Warlock for the SNES and Genesis. And they got an ad for Judge Dredd, the video game, and that's basically it. This was Game Players. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me any critiques you will on how I can improve. And, see you next time.